Hello, everyone, and good evening to most of you watching live, and hello to everyone else in the time of day if you are watching on the recording. I'm Lumen, of course, and today I have a very special guest on the stream today for a very special reason. Hello, Derek.
Hello.
Yeah, so you, of course, go by BlackJackDavie on play-agricola and possibly other places. We are broadcasting the playoff game for the second season of Agricola Seasons. So why don't you introduce the thought behind the format here and where we've gotten to?
Okay, sure, yeah. So I'm fairly new to the Play Agricola site. Started playing last year and tried to come up with an idea or a way that we could have like a tournament. And most of the players kind of live all over the world, so it's kind of hard to schedule it all in one weekend. So the kind of idea with this is it takes place over multiple weeks, and this time 11 weeks. And anyone that wanted to sign up could, and we had 22 players this season, and it works out where everyone plays one basically one game a week, and they have 1 week where they have a bye. So by the end of the season, everyone has 10 games in. You play each other player in the league at least one time. I think everyone played 9 other opponents 2 times, and then there's you get points for how you finish in each game, and then at the end of the season, top 3 players make the final. And then this game we're going to be doing today is the next 4 players in the standings play in a playoff match where the winner advances to join the other 3 in the final. So that's where we're at here.
Right. So typically this game would be slots 4 through 7 competing against each other to get the 4th slot in the final table. Unfortunately, Donba was not able to commit time for the playoff and or the final, so Kimball at the 8th position is getting in here.
Dark horse.
Yeah, dark horse for sure. And these points totals, each game, the winners get 12 points, the second place gets 6 points, third place gets 3 points, and fourth place gets 1 point. Was there any specific motivation for this point breakdown per game? Because it heavily incentivizes winning, right?
Sure, yeah. Basically, we wanted to make it so that whoever won the most games would advance the furthest in the standings, and we wanted to weight the distance between first and second more than the distance between second and third and on down.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of stacked standings that way.
Right, makes sense. Do you have any thoughts on this season's 2 regular season runaways, I guess? Turambar and Dejf were seeing like well ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yep, they both were pretty far up there. Turambar did not play in the first season, so we didn't really know coming in how strong of a player he was. We did a little prediction contest at the start of the year where everyone kind of picked who they thought would do well and who'd make the playoffs, and no one picked him to make the finals. So I guess those people didn't know how good he was, or maybe he hadn't played on the site in a while, but he came out crushing. Yeah, he won like the first, I guess, 5 weeks, even he had a tie for a win in week 5. So they knew pretty quick how strong he was. Dejf actually did play last year and barely missed out on making the top 4. We only had 16 last year, so it was just top 4 played in the finals. But he was right there, just outside of it. So he improved a lot this season. He actually had the most points more this season than last season of anybody that played in both.
Okay, seasons, largest points improvement. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess to me, not having played in the seasons due to other commitments, I would not have been surprised at all to see Turambar and Dejf leading these standings.
Yeah.
Dejf, of course, has been the official world champion before and done very well across many tournaments, and Turambar is the Norwegian champion in most years, Norway having a large Agricola contingent as well.
Right.
So I just find it funny that maybe they were overlooked. Possibly people didn't realize that they were playing in the season. I can't think of too many other explanations.
Yeah, well, so a lot of folks picked CS Junior, who's going to be in our game today, because he crushed the first season in the regular season.
Oh yeah, do you remember what? Over 100. I was just going to ask you remember what his total was.
I'm thinking like 106 maybe. So
that's ridiculous. That's just a ridiculous regular season score there.
Right. So I think people kind of had that fresh in their mind, and didn't know as much about Turambar, so that's kind of where. Yeah, 106 is what he ended up with. Looks like.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. All right, so we've covered the main standings on the left there, and now I see a few questions in Twitch chat about the head-to-head competitions. Is this across like a long play Agricola history, or is this just in seasons formats?
Yeah, just in the first 2 seasons that we've had. So Graey didn't play in the first season. The other 3 players did. So
okay, so that's why there's a larger record against for those.
Right, yeah.
Anything you want to point out from those head-to-head stats?
I mean, mostly it seems like they were pretty close. I mean, Graey only played the other 3 players 1 time each, and he finished ahead of Average Joe and Kimball both times, and then behind CS when they played in a crazy week 1 game where it was a 3-way tie for first, and Graey was 4th by 1 point. So that was pretty wild way to open the season.
That's absolutely crazy. Did you end up having other very close games like that?
There were a few ties throughout. Yeah, anytime you see a point there in the standings that's not a 1, 3, 6, or 12, it's some sort of tie. So there's some 2s in there. There's a 4.5.
Oh, that's a good point. Okay, but like having 3 7s in week 1 is probably the craziest of all those.
Yeah, that was the only 3-way tie, I think, the whole season, actually out of both seasons.
Okay. So a little unfortunate that the craziness didn't continue because, I mean, who doesn't like wild outcomes, right?
Yeah, I mean, and these percentages obviously are pretty small sample size. So, like, Kimball has the 14%, but obviously, you know, to say he's a huge underdog to these other 3 would not be right, you know, with his experience. But just how it worked out so far in the seasons. So
one thing I like to look at from more of like a sports fan perspective that might not be the most statistically relevant is like who's on a hot streak in seasons here. I'm seeing Average Joe, who won their last 2 games of season. Yep. Kimball placing first, second coming into this game. Graey getting worse and worse over the last 3 weeks. And CS with a third, second.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't really thought about that. I do remember that Average Joe seemed kind of down in the middle of the pack, and then those 2 wins just boosted him right up into the playoff picture.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about having a season-long competition, right? Because even if you're not doing so hot in the first part, there's still time to make up ground on these standings.
Yeah, and we did sort of switch formats a little bit throughout, so not every week was the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think we didn't even talk about that yet, but to me, just like reading the description of seasons, I find that to be one of the coolest things about this format. So do you want to like give a little spiel on the thought behind making each week a different format?
Sure. Yeah, I guess originally it was just that people seem to play all sorts of different formats on the site that I could tell. Some people like playing with the newer cards and the player-made cards. Some people don't. And from what I could tell, the common way that I see people play is just all the printed cards like EIK, W, F, and G, and then add the G4-5. So we used that a couple times, but I think there's some fun cards in some of those other sets. So we mixed it up a little. We had 1 week that used G8, a week that used G7 mixed in there, had a week that used the check deck and all those little mini decks. So it kind of kept it different. I don't know the players well enough to know who's like favored in different formats. I think some players prefer. We even did revised 1 week, so I think some players had a lot more experience in that than others. But it kind of just keeps it shook up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that is a really cool thing to add in terms of just like finding the best Agricola player, just being willing to vary the formats into even, I think, people's collections were involved here.
That's true. Yeah, I think I reached out maybe to you or Sid or some of the other more experienced players on the site when I first started the first season, because I knew there was cards in some of those G decks that most people don't like to play with that are, I guess, too good or too bad or something. So I kind of had to learn how to do the collections and make it balanced where we could kind of ban those cards, basically.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of the G4-5 format that the 4 people are playing today in this playoff game, My guess is that the most experienced by far with that format will be Kimball. Kimball, of course, having by far the most games on the site, and that being the predominant format on the site in the last 5-ish years, maybe longer. I would be very surprised if anyone else had more experience with a G4-5 format.
Yeah, same. I was trying to look up how many games they had played before, before we started, and I didn't get to all of them, but I saw Kimball had 4,656 games played.
Yikes.
Not all of those are this format, but that's a lot of Agricola.
That is so much Agricola, for sure. Let's see. Then CS Junior is a new name to play Agricola in approximately the last year. But in the last year, oh my, has he put up some very strong results. I don't know what his win percentage is, but it's way up there.
Yeah, I know some days he would just knock out 4 games a day, just pretty much every day there for a while, it seems like.
Yeah. Then Average Joe, we can talk about next here. I guess in the middle of CS Junior and Kimball, maybe closer to CS Junior in terms of number of Agricola games played, but has been a member of the site actively in the last couple of years, mostly, I think, if I remember correctly.
Actually, I don't know did you first meet him on the site, or did you meet him at another convention or something like that?
I met him at WBC, just like I met you. So for the audience there, this is an actual picture of me and Derek, BlackJackDavie, together with one person in the middle cut out for privacy. But that's us at WBC 2018. An awesome experience. And it was actually you who I guess brought me into your group. Like you were the one willing. I put out like a semi-public call for like help. Can I room with anyone this convention? And you were like, yeah, join us. And I can't thank you enough for that.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, we didn't know you at all, but I heard from a mutual friend that you were a good guy, and you definitely. As soon as you came in, we were all talking about the best cards in Agricola, and you're like, I have some thoughts on that.
Well, yeah, I certainly did, having played plenty of Play Agricola before then. Yeah, Average Joe mentioning in chat, I wasn't going to bring it up, but Average Joe did sit to my left in a semi-final Agricola game, and, the clamps got put on.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense.
It was a nasty game, though. It was... I got gifted first growth, and I had a nice, easy Cloister Dweller. So, yeah, it didn't go too well for Average Show there.
Yeah, same. I met him there at the same convention. I don't know if it was the same year, but I remember he made the semifinal in Agricola, like maybe the year or two before that against one of my best friends. So I knew him from there first.
Yeah, that's probably the same year then.
Yeah, might have been. Yeah.
And then the last player, I think, this is where you're going too, right? Like the last player we have to cover here is Graey, who most people, if you paid any attention to Play Agricola in the last year, you'll know that Graey is one of the best players on the site, bar none.
Easily, yeah.
You've probably seen a stream or two of his at twitch.tv/Graey0, where he does some very impressive analysis of cards and his game and the moves he should be making.
Right, yeah. Graey actually, of all the players in the season, even though he didn't make the final outright, had the most like raw victory points scored between his 10 games. So he really he can put up some high scoring games.
So I mean, the most surprising thing to me there is that if you score the most raw points out of anyone, and you're 23 standings points behind Turambar and 20 standings points behind Dejf, you have more insight perhaps on like the exact matchups that happened, but do you think Graey was just a victim of bad luck in some of these?
Some of it a little bit, yeah. Like I mentioned, that week one he was 4th place in a game that was 51-51-51-50. So like,
okay, yeah,
he had a high score but only got 1 standings point for it. So a couple things like that and a couple close seconds, and that's kind of how that went down. But strong player for sure. I agree with everything you said there. I guess I don't know if you had to call a favorite out of this, you might guess Graey would be. I know some of the other tournaments and little things that have happened on the site, he's usually won those. But I don't think he has a huge edge on either of these 3 players. Would you say?
I think I agree with you. So, in terms of, you know, playing strong games and doing very well, the fact that all four of these players are very strong players is going to really change the dynamic of the game. There are going to be many, like, way fewer mistakes to capitalize on, right? And I think Graey especially might be one of the best at capitalizing on people's mistakes. But if there aren't too many mistakes to capitalize on, you know, the playing field gets leveled in a major way. So even though, yes, Kimball, sure, we can call him the favorite, but would I give him more than a 35% chance to win this game? I don't think so. Like, boosting the average win rate from 25 to 35 is probably as far as I would go here. There's just so many other factors that can make or break a game when everyone is very competent.
A couple times in like casual games, you'll see him, or maybe on stream, he'll get a little sloppy and like miss something or forget someone can build or grow or something like that. But when he's locked in, and I've seen him play in a couple little tournaments on the site, when he's really locked in, he's tough to beat for sure.
Yeah, and Sid agreeing with me more or less. I think I was trying to say that 35% is as high as I would go with an individual's prediction here. So I guess while we are waiting for CS to arrive, he did let everyone know that he would be a tiny bit late here, so that's why we are trying to fill the time a little bit. The game today that we're going to be able to cast for you has the latest and greatest in streaming technology, brought to us by God Maruskak, who is hopefully sleeping right now. It's very late in the Czech Republic. But we are going to be able to see all four players' hands throughout the entire game, including the draft. So we are not going to be able to see the players' choices during the drafts. We'll only know what like the first picks are, and then we'll notice what the second picks are and stuff like that. So it should be very, very cool to see people build their strategies during the draft, which is usually dead time for a cast. And, you know, if we didn't have this technology, the draft would probably be happening while we do this intro garbage. So.
Right. Well, I think the last season we tried to get them to send pictures of their hands, and it was kind of chaotic, and we weren't sure who actually had what cards. And yeah, I think this should be a lot smoother for that.
Yeah, for sure. So anything you want to talk about with regarding the future of seasons or any cool moments from this season? You mentioned there was a predictions contest. Maybe some of those predictions came out to be very interesting.
Yeah, we had a 10 or 11 questions or so that let the players in the league and even some other folks could turn in their guesses. And basically for every question they got 10 points divided by how many other folks got the same right answer. So if you're the only one that got the answer right, you got 10 points. And if two people got it right, you each got 5 kind of thing. Okay. And it's not over yet. I've figured up the scores because we don't know who the winner is, and that's one of the questions. But looks like right now, WSE Frank will actually be the winner of the prediction contest. He was a player in the league. He finished 9th.
Half a point out of this playoff game.
Right. Yeah, we can talk about that in a second. How close it was down the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's later.
But actually, unless Kimball wins the final outright, and that's the only way WSE Frank could actually get caught. So that's kind of an interesting wrinkle. In that case, Wrestle Ranger would actually win the prediction contest.
All right. So Kimball, I don't know if you're still in the Twitch chat, but the pressure's on. Wrestle Ranger needs you to win both of your games.
But yeah, you were mentioning how close that was. It came down once Donba, announced that he couldn't have time to commit to playing in the playoffs. It was really wide open between 4 or 5 players to make the last spot. Kimball was sitting in the 8th spot, which would be the next one in. But I think WST Frank had a game or 2 left. Rainier, you can see there, he finished in 10th. If he would have won his last week of the season, he would have jumped 6 points and made it in. So super close finish this season for those last couple spots.
Yeah. Do you think the pressure got to anyone, or do you think everyone was calm and chill? Was anyone noticeably stressed?
I wouldn't say stress, but people definitely knew. I mean, people were checking the standings and they knew what was at stake and, who stood to actually make it in. Some people knew they were out. And their last game didn't matter as far as getting in the playoffs. And some people knew that I think Kimball knew that he had to count on like 2 or 3 other players to not win or finish as, second or worse or something, to make it. So yeah, there was a lot of that. And I wouldn't say stressed. I didn't notice it anyway, if there was.
Well, we have a report from Kimball himself saying he was checking the standings a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of fun to check and see it, and it was a little interesting because with the way we did it with 22 players, where every week 2 people were on a bye, it wasn't always that the player, in the top of the standings was actually in the lead because they just hadn't had their bye week yet. So
yeah, and I've cut it out here, but you also had a spot on your spreadsheet of points per game, and that would be like the best way to see who's in the lead, right?
Right. Yeah, you could tell. Like, okay, they're winning outright, but they've only played,
or they played an extra game
or
something. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I thought it worked out pretty well. I thought about going back and calculating like strength of schedule because the first season everyone played everyone twice and it was balanced. This season, with 22 players, this is the best way we could come up with to kind of do it, and everyone did get to play everyone once, but then there was nine random players who played 2 times. So like, if anyone had to play like Dejf and Turambar twice, that's like a hit to your schedule for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
guess overall,
yeah.
I thought it turned out good the way it kind of worked out.
The last thing that we have not talked about that you did mention you wanted to cover here is talking about what strategies usually happen with these decks. In case some of you watching live or on the VOD or on YouTube are less familiar with this deck set specifically, EIK, WF, G, G4, G5, it does have some differences compared to like a normal deck setup. I guess between that or EIK or EIK WF only. Just quickly want to note that CS Junior has made it into the room. So, yep, thank you, Kimball. We will be able to start the game, and we'll bring that to you very soon. I guess what I would say the difference is between this setup and a more, I guess, quote-unquote, normal or original set is that there is a bias towards cards allowing alternative strategies away from just build and grow as aggressively as you can. Giving a lot of farming or bonus points available to players that might not be available in an EIK setup.
Right, yeah, you probably know a lot more about what strategies are available and not just doing the stuff you see in EIK, but I think, I mean, it depends on what cards get put in the draft, of course, but like there's a potential for some crazy fun stuff that you may not see in an EIK game for sure, or even revised, really.
All right, so all the players are in. We're waiting for the game to officially get started with a click. I will need to get in and watch the game and then mess with one setting here.
Okay, you just let me know when you're good and I'll tell them to start the...
Oh yeah, they're welcome to start. Well, I guess start the game. Then I'll also give a signal for when I'm ready to have the draft start. But yeah, this should be very exciting. I'm very excited to see how difficult it's going to be to keep up with these drafts.
Yeah, same here. Okay, it looks like they're all in the room, and I told them to start and just don't pick the first card yet.
Okay, great.
Once you give me the go-ahead that you're ready, we can...
Yeah, they can start picking cards later.
Yeah. And obviously, if the players are actually in the game or still in your chat, they'll need to drop out.
I think they all dropped out.
Okay.
If you're still here, shame on you. All right. It's Average Joe, Graey, and CS. Let me get these windows correct here. And it's today. Thank you for the follow. Settings here. Kimball, Average Joe, Graey, CS.
Oh, there's lots of folks that came into the room just to watch. That's cool.
Yeah, that
on the site.
It's always exciting to have a bunch of people in the game. I think I set everything up. Yeah, we see something there. There's a Writing Maniac in a hand. I think that is CS's Writing Maniac.
Okay, so that must be his first pick.
Yeah.
I didn't give. All right, I'll let them know they can start drafting.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. First pick, Writing Maniac. So that's a strong card, right? That's a. We were speaking of cards that aren't in the EIK. This is one that you don't. There's not a lot of this type of effect in that.
Yeah. Okay. This is awesome. Yeah. So the player order should be top left is Kimball, bottom left is Average Joe, top right is Graey. But yeah, we have an educator.
And a Writing Maniac. Wow. So that's. And what's the card? I can't make out the card there. That.
It's a debt collector.
Debt collector. Okay.
So we should be able to be clicking on the cards in the stream for those of you there. There is a little detail that wasn't able to be fixed immediately. Pook, thank you for the raid. The detail is that you might have to click on a bit to the left or the right of where you are seeing the card on the screen. So try to click on the middle of the cards there. Yeah, Pook, we are casting a game with new Agricola streaming technology where we get to see everyone's hand. Okay, so I guess the educator is actually going to be Gray's card. I don't know why my player names aren't showing up right now.
Oh, I wonder if it did it like, you know how when people get stuff on future rounds, you use the corners of the round spot? Maybe that looks like the same order they're in.
Oh,
here.
Yeah, I mean, I arranged with Maruskak to try to get that happening.
Okay, cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Quick question for you. I see that it looks like Kimball's second pick, the Tenant Farmer, which is not a strong card, but do you think there's some card he saw in his first pack that he passed that would combo with? He's hoping to wield maybe, or just a weak pack?
Yeah, that's definitely possible here. Let's see. So we're having trouble getting Average Joe's hand, which could be due to extension issues. Let's see. Let me try to PM him.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which browser he said he was using. I think it was like a Chrome-like one, but it wasn't Chrome. But it should have worked.
So we see a second pick Sunrise Admirer for CS backing up the Writing Maniac, another food taker. Yep, many comments in the chat already. It's going to be a hungry draft. There is a Vegetable Vendor second pick for Graey. That's a nice food support. That first pack from CS I just really think was like bad if Tenant Farmer's the second pick. I really struggled to think of what Kimball might have seen in his opening pack to make that viable. Possibly like a handmade that no one would really want to take, but otherwise it's an interesting choice. Unsane, thank you for the follow.
He might have the extension turned off. I'm going to ask him if he could turn it on.
Well, yeah, I told him that it's not being picked up, so.
Okay.
Village Elder. So that is a 4-wood card that gives everyone bonuses at the end of the game. It will be interesting to see. Well, let's see. So Graey must have had Vegetable Vendor and Village Elder in that same pack. That's what I'm guessing.
Whoa! Did you see what CS just picked up?
That's a Diligent Farmer, I think?
I thought it was Baker Servant.
Fourth pick Baker Servant. That would not happen. We do see that Kimball spiked the Handmaid.
Wow! So that was a... Wait, was that? Oh, because he saw it in his first pack. Yeah, so he really did set that up.
Yeah,
Nice.
And that's ranking it lower than Diligent Farmer and whatever Graey took third, which is not showing up. All right, so we still have a few kinks to work out here, but this is very fun, even seeing like half of what we wanted to.
Yeah, and this hopefully we can work out the kinks through this game, and then for the finals we'll have it set up and everything.
Oh yeah, because we're definitely planning on casting the finals, us two, with this setup.
Yeah, we can maybe. Let's see. So, tenant farmer into handmade. That's a pretty good spike there, but
Yeah. All right, let me try to look up where I usually get player names from.
okay. You might have to even type them like case specific or something too.
Well, yeah, it's kind of different than that, actually. It's part of Maruskak's extension.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's possible that I accidentally typed in an extra character, but it's just
Oh, hold on. It's Average Joe just messaged me that his draft so far is educator, veggie vendor.
Oh, okay, so
that's
it's
Average Joe's hand.
Graey.
So Graey is the one that we don't have turned on.
Okay, and I think I did mess up my own extensions thing here. I changed something for testing, so let's see if these player names decide to pop up soon. But they might. So, yeah, so tell Average Joe that are bad.
Yeah, well, yeah. So that's means. Okay, I'll figure out what that means as far as who they're passing to in a second.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I had it as second player is bottom left here because they're on the left side of the screen. So that means that Kimball first picked the deck collector over veggie vendor, something, and diligent farmer. And then Graey passed veggie vendor. And village elder.
Okay, looks like Graey left and came back, so maybe
That might do something. It might not. I'll also do some refreshing here. I might also try to leave the game to get the player names to pop up, but... Oh, you're right, Fofo. It's not Graey passing the veggie vendor. It's Kimball. I'm getting confused in my own layout here. That is a 6th pick house steward.
Wow.
So that's also Kimball's starting pack, if I have this correctly. Yeah. Yeah, we can think of this as like diagonal down to the right from top left to bottom left, and also top right to bottom right if we ever get that third hand showing up.
Might be the mystery player. Really.
Yeah, I can try to refresh this. That did not help. We have a crop rotator for CS after also picking a resource gatherer 5th. It looks like CS just has some good cards. I don't know if I would call it any great synergy. I guess he has some things hinting at getting a bunch of fields, getting a bunch of crops, and using that to power Diligent Farmer for a stone room at the end of the game, while getting extra wood from Resource Gatherer, perhaps.
Yeah.
The Educator hand, of course, is filled with food support, Veggie Vendor, Animal Dealer, Seed Seller, Pilgrim, all helping with that, and then House Steward, having a 4-wood card with Educator is really fun as well. And then with Kimball's pack, he has picked up a Coal Investor and a Delivery Man, which are kind of thematically the same, a Racing Stable Manager, and a first pick Ox Team.
Wow, okay.
Ox Team making a lot of sense with Tenant Farmer and Handmade wanting to like guarantee having a cow.
Right. So I guess Delivery Man and Coal Investor are early. I was trying to think of what Ox are going to get played to trigger the Educator early. I guess that's the 2 in Kimball's hand.
Yeah, I would guess even Delivery Man just might not get played because Kimball wants to set up that Handmade Tenant Farmer for a growth pretty early, I would have to assume.
And Educator does trigger off the Riding Maniac occupations, right?
It certainly does, yeah. Okay. So I guess you could play Coal Investor... Wait, no, I'm thinking of it wrong. It's, yeah. Educator would need something fun to play, like, in the harvest.
So, I don't know, Graey, maybe the extension's not working, but he just sent me a screenshot of his hand. Is that something?
Oh, yeah, he also sent one to me.
Okay.
Let's see what I can do with this here. Probably not much, if I'm being honest.
We can talk through it. The folks who know the cards will...
Yeah, okay. Well, let's see. So I can put it here. Well, I'll just put it here. This is Gray's hand in progress. A first pick Zoo Director. Also a heavy plow, so there's going to be some serious cattle competition. An animal holder, a workaholic. Wow, there's some serious animal games happening here.
Yeah. That's interesting. There might be a fight over the one cattle spot.
Yep, and we're seeing that CS first picked a riding plow, gets a harvest feast on top of the crop rotator. I believe that combos with itself. Like, you can immediately take the last one off with harvest feast and get a resow with the crop rotator.
Nice, yeah.
And Grey opting for heavy plow above harvest feast. That might cause some real trouble later when the single cow is going to be taken by Kimball to get Ox Team down. First picking Ox Team and heavy plow on opposite sides of the table. Wow. And you know what? You see this first miner from Average Joe is an iron plow, I believe.
Jeez, okay. So there's going to be some fields this game for sure.
We are going to have easy fields. And that harvest feast might be doing some big work for everyone. CS unknowingly might not be benefiting very much from that harvest feast.
Yeah. He still needs to get food a little sorted, wouldn't you say, with Riding Maniac and Sunrise? Or I guess Absinthe helps a lot with that.
I mean, Drinker of Absinthe only goes so far. As Sid suggests in the game chat, 3 people are going to want Fireplaces and Hearts, and it's going to be the veggie vendor who I think has the biggest advantage on that. CS might prioritize it also. I know CS is not afraid to take 2 clay in round 1 if he thinks a Fireplace is super critical for his own game.
Oh, look at that plum patch.
It's a plum patch. Perfect. Yep, and wow, I'm unimpressed by Average Joe's miners here. Iron Plow, Potato Scoop, and Straw Thatched Roof, when Kimball in front is taking very solid cards like Muddy Waters and Absinthe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to see Straw Thatched Roof. I don't know if he's got any kind of line where he can go for that for his read. I mean, he's going to get maybe read from Parvenu or something too if... Uh-oh. Look at that. Look at Average Joe's 4th pick, though, in this game.
Holy cow.
That's going to be a pretty good...
What?
Wow.
That's a play and a half. So that's a 4th pick punter, which means it started in CS's hand. He took Riding Plow over punter. I would not do that ever. Wow. And that actually might be a steel plow instead of an iron plow. I actually can't make out the difference from this small view I have.
Let's see if I can click it and it'll...
Well, yeah, Sid, remember that Grey also took a heavy plow. So there's a heavy plow, I guess it's a steel plow, a riding plow. These are all like very good picks. And yes, everyone correcting me that punter is from Grey's pack. Thank you. But yeah, this is going to be such a strong punter. The steel plow might just be unnecessary here. Is that a march for Kimball? So yeah, there were never going to be field problems here.
He's going to have the animals to play March, but may not want to if Animal Holder comes down, I guess.
Animal Holder might come down, that's correct. I'm going to take extra time to think this through there. Kimball did not know about Animal Holder because that started off with Average Joe. Wow, and good animal support throughout this draft. We see a Liquid Manure 6th pick for Kimball. CS has picked up Renovation Materials and a Matic. The renovation materials might come in handy to get Resource Cellar going. We have the Broken Busted Free Range Chickens.
I was about to say, one of my favorite cards right there.
Followed by an actual legitimate card in Baker's Oven here. So the Fireplace Cooking Hearth pressure might be coming off a little as Average Joe is starting to find some decent grain support with Seed Cellar and a reason to hit grain a bunch. So here we are. That's the end of the draft. We see a Grain Mill Oven 7th miner for CS, a Greenhouse 7th miner. I asked Grey to provide a picture of his opening hand. CS starts in the 1st seat. We have Grey in the 4th seat. Major improvement in round 1. We know Graey has a bunch of animal support in his hand. It would not be surprising at all to see Graey take 2 clay as his first move and go fireplace with the second. All right, I've got...
Oh, and fourth seat. Yeah, I guess that's... Yeah.
We have Gray's final hand here. Collar and chain also.
Oh, wow, that's going to be nice for grabbing animals.
A diamond mine, a chronicle. So I guess I'll find a way to put this on screen, and then in the meantime try to remember some of this stuff. Kimball gets Delivery Man down for free after CS opens Reedstone Food, and Average Joe goes straight into Educator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what are you thinking if you're the other 4 players here when you see Educator based on what you've drafted?
Oh, gosh. I mean, as CS, I'm thinking, well, I guess I'm just giving Educator all the Ox here.
Yeah.
And as Kimball, I am probably going to try to find a way to play fewer Ox until I see Writing Maniac come down. Graey is probably thinking that Educator being played makes 2 clay even better than it usually is. He might be thinking of who else, based on what he's seen, might want the fireplace in a bad way.
Yeah, it's tough. It is the 3 wood into start player seal is. Wait, that's not Graey, is it? That's Average Joe. What could Graey do other than the 2 clay line?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. Alright, I don't know how nice I can make this. But let me work on this a tiny bit behind the scenes here while Graey considers this first action. I'll try to make this work.
Yeah, he's taking his time with it. I guess it's a good way to guarantee the first fireplace if he really needs it, but he probably doesn't realize what kind of a fight this is going to be for it. Oh, he goes for it,
Yeah, I think this is the right play for Graey. Sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet, let start player have a really great Reedstone Food 3 wood sequence, and, just try to do the best you can here.
Yeah, it's pretty nice for CS.
Mm-hmm.
Getting that online. So CS is stage 1. I mean, other than getting Writing Maniac down, what are you angling for here? Get some food sorted somehow? He's hoping.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's gonna want a ton of food here. I would 3 wood's very obvious for him, and then 2 wood is fine for Kimball. But I mean, yeah, he doesn't know about Writing Maniac coming in. If he did know about Writing Maniac, I think Day Labor would be a better action than 2 wood in some ways.
Average Joe goes for it, which makes sense with Educator, yep.
Yeah, alright. So 1 sec, let me try to add a source to this stream. Let's see, so this would be a window capture.
Fences comes up in 2 here.
Okay.
And Kimball starts with 2 read.
Alright, so there's a janky enough but still working version of Gray's hand. You'll have to reconcile that with what's on the table. You'll have to remember about the passing miners as the audience here, but we have something. Alright, so Graey did buy the fireplace. CS retains start player, takes Reedstone Food, pretty standard. Graey playing a free animal holder with the second action. Kimball did take 2 read, Average Joe with 3 wood. Average Joe going straight for vegetable vendor, but the fireplace already gone. Is perhaps a surprise he didn't realize.
Yeah, CS, I mean, other than Writing Maniac, he really doesn't have to play any of these.
I mean, I'm a little surprised that CS is willing to pay a food for this Writing Maniac, but I guess he's looking at what else is on the board. Seeing his hand, as Sid noted earlier, very efficient if he can get everything down. So.
And he, I mean, he's probably looking to grab 3 food next round.
Yes. I mean, without 3 food, he kind of dies. CS is doing a very CS thing and putting 3 points on his farm. He pre-declares that he will win all the 4 Wood Ox.
That's a classic CS move, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so ILSO is the declared third letter here. We can probably figure out that Village Elder is going to be the round 7 Ock. Let's see. S is going to be Resource Gatherer, and Crop Rotator is going to be that one. Does he have an I third letter? Drinker of Absinthe. Drinker of Absinthe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Timing wise, that would be.
So that means he is saving Diligent Farmer or Village Elder. I'd be assuming that the L stands for Village Elder instead of Diligent Farmer there. I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then Sunrise Admirer is also probably off the team, given that he has a riding plow.
Yeah. So do you think Average Joe's trying to get the hearth here because he's going to have the veggies coming in?
Oh, absolutely. And he takes a vegetable from Seal right here. I think that's a very solid play. It's a little weird to play a minor on major when start player's open, but Vegetable Vendor always changes that math in a big way.
Okay. Hey, Kimball, already with the room parts.
5 wood, 2 reed. This is GG. Congratulations, Kimball.
CS is right there, too.
Yeah, but I mean, only one person ended with the full room parts, and, we got to give it to him.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Coal Investor, is that going to be on the team here for Kimball? I guess that's all.
If Kimball's playing Delivery Man, I would assume Coal Investor is also coming. We see a very disciplined 3-food first action from CS, and Kimball snapping the other one up. Makes a lot of sense. Average Joe's definitely going to take 4 clay here. Gray's going to get Reedstone food, I would assume.
That 3-food right there is a Lumen-approved move. I've seen you do that.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, it's already clear that this is a very hungry game.
Yeah.
This is pretty necessary. I would be very surprised at anything except 4 clay for Average Joe here, and there it is.
What do you think about this as an underlying story to this game? Gray almost always plays as purple, and Kimball has set up the game and took purple first. Do you think that's going to throw Gray off at all?
Oh, I mean, the metagame is serious here. I actually saw in the game chat that CS was complaining that all of his colors were taken by the time he got back.
Oh, that's right. He plays blue, too. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is Kimball's game to win. He got first room and the only one that got his normal color, I think.
Yep. Kimball does play Coal Investor here while the Educator is foodless. Average Joe gets that hearth down now as 2 veg, and the Educator is powered up. Collar and Chain on start player for Gray. This is really nice. It'll be a Reedstone food into 2 sheep. Having the fireplace, have room parts, have breeding sheep in a hungry game. I really like where Gray's game is right now.
I mean, CS is just building here, right? He's with Kimball with room parts. He's just going to go ahead and build. I would assume
so. He doesn't have much else to do here. He's going to have Drinker of Absinthe coming down. That's nothing amazing. It's just solid. 4 woods on the table. Might see
Kimball's got to be happy with this.
Yeah, I mean, Kimball's going to have a 5th wood from Delivery Man as well, and then if no one takes the 2 read action, he'll have parts for 2 rooms. I'm surprised Gray went for... Oh, I'm sorry. There's another cooking hearth on the table. Gray has to take the sheep first.
Yeah. He's probably hoping to will to read some food or 2 read, I guess.
Yeah, Kimball does end up taking the 4 wood. I think that's a solid move. Average Joe, I would expect to take 2 reed or Reedstone, or maybe try to play another improvement. I really don't know. Well, I guess this is where I should look at Average Joe's hand. Yeah, I think 2 reed is probably what I would take, but Reedstone food definitely not very objectionable.
So let's see. What's he trying to get down next with Educator? Is he kind of waiting to see on House Steward, or do you think that...
I would guess it's Seed Seller. I don't know if I agree with that, but I think that's what it's going to be. Gray ends up with the 2 reed, still room parts, even if it's not Reedstone.
The dealer. Yeah, I guess the dealer. Sid says the dealer. That would make sense with the Educator hearth. Mm-hmm. But too bad the sheep are gone already.
Right. CS grabbing 4 clay, probably putting on some cookery pressure if I had to guess.
Yeah, what would he... Would you think he's got anything in his mind about early Reno for the resource gather? He's got that renovation.
Oh, that's probably a good point. Having 4 clay gets him half done with the parts for renovation materials.
And I think that would be the only... Oh, I guess he can play Matic or that.
Yeah. I guess one thing I can do, because I have this paint open, I can just like delete the cards that Grey's played here, even if they don't auto-align. But yes, this thing here is very cool that we've been able to set up. So Kimball takes the 3 wood with his last action of stage 1. That's a wood police move, because Average Joe is fed and can start for 6 wood otherwise.
Yep. Which, I mean, that's a pretty common thing you see in these early stages, right? These players are not going to let that go unless they really have a reason.
Average Joe is hard playing Seed Seller. I like this play a lot. It's the same as taking 2 food. He wants his next Ock down. He doesn't need to wait for someone else to play an Ock. And this way, he can also play a card off of CS's Drinker of Absinthe.
Yep.
Average Joe announcing feed 6 to clarify that he will be buying an Ock here. I would expect it to be House Steward. There it is. Yep. And we've rolled early growth here.
Okay. Wow.
Graey goes ahead and builds that room. And CS with a Matic on start player. With not much else playable. Yeah, Chris is in chat. Absolutely. We're going to have a high-action barn burner of a game. High-action, high card. We've got some real point-sealing potential here. And noting that, we have to start giving the edge to Average Joe and CS here, who have a bunch of card actions coming in for free. I think this really helps them.
Huh. How do you know when it's going to be a super food hungry game? Like, it looked already hungry, and then there's grow at 5, which usually makes it even more hungry. So
I mean, you have a good point here. That definitely does affect the game in terms of hunger. We know that there is some animal support this game, and the animal dealer... I mean, this vegetable scoop might even come into play for Average Joe later. Just a way to have a 6 food action. CS, maybe I'm a little worried about food on his behalf. His Drinker of Absinthe isn't coming in until after this stage.
Alright. Yeah, at least I'll have 6 actions to get his food sorted somehow or another.
Yeah, so I missed that Average Joe played Steel Plow on Major to pick up a vegetable. Kimball did take Reedstone food, getting close to having parts for 2 rooms at once, especially now that House Steward is in play. That makes a lot of sense to me. It also means, I guess, that CS's line of renovating to stone fast is, not as good here.
Yeah, yeah. See, no one is... I mean, I assume if Kimball's going to build the 2 wood rooms, then no one's really getting in line for those first fences for animals.
Yeah, I mean, Graey has that collar and chain, right?
Yeah, and then the Average Joe has the hearth, so like it's not like you're even guaranteed to get the animals if you do it.
All right, so this is very interesting here. Kimball playing Debt Collector on round 13.
Wonder why. What was the reason he needed to do it now? He needed to get 3 Ox down for Absinthe or something.
I guess that's the thinking. I mean, Tenant Farmer seems into Handmade seems a little out of scope here, given that he's so close to parts for 2 rooms as is. I think Kimball's just going to go down the path of least resistance, given what he's picked up here, and just ignore the Tenant Farmer Handmade line, and I think that's pretty solid.
Huh, okay.
He'll just be, growing twice with good miners, and Debt Collector in 13 to set up either a big plow sow or take the only growth without room action before round 14, if that's how it comes out.
Might turn out to be a pretty strong pivot for him there.
I like it a lot. I mean, his chance of picking up a hearth is also really low now, because Graey probably wants to upgrade to a hearth. And, the clay is not in huge supply here.
So what is he angling for as far as a food engine here in the mid-game?
Well, you see, that's a tough question. I'm not sure any of it's clear for him. He's played two ox that give him wood and clay theoretically helps with getting food, but there's some steps needed before then. And Kimball has 4 wood as an option. He has 2 reed as an option, but he might be bottom feeding here. And yeah, he goes fishing.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, realizing the state of that.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of an interesting position here. Average Joe has picked up a seed seller action and now has 3 grain, 1 veg. And Steel Plow already played, so I would not be surprised if 2 of Average Joe's last 4 moves in this stage are Plow and Sow. Yeah, probably 4 wood is what I would do, followed by pray someone hits Animal Dealer for you and plan to eat the vegetable, deal the sheep, and sow. That might be a line for him.
Yep. Seems like that's what he's angling for, just staying out of the room more for a while. But
that's what we thought, but Average Joe goes for 2 reed here, and that is a bit of a middle finger to the straw-thatched roof in his hand.
Yeah, he decided against that, I guess.
Graey with a very nice round here. That's 5 wood into growth with Chronicle, while 8 majors are on the board in a game where most of the majors need to be bought.
Yeah, he's realizing that's going to help a lot with the food situation.
Yeah, I think a strong setup here for Graey. CS is close to resources for the Reno into Stone. He's just a reed short, I think, and can Reno with Reno materials or with the action space next round.
I mean, he picked up that extra clay from Reedstone Food with the Matic. He might be looking at the expensive hearth here. He seems like that's his feeding engine in a lot of games.
I think the expensive hearth would do well. He goes for a fireplace here. So what this says to me is that he's considering himself a Reedstone Food away from renovating to stone. And the Reedstone Food giving him that 3rd clay for either renovation materials or the spot itself is...
That makes sense, yeah.
Yep. Kimball does play Absinthe here. It's a bit interesting with starting player. I guess he could still be thinking of building just 1 room and saving the other 9 wood in his hand to try to fence first.
Like, if Average Joe doesn't have room part, okay, now he has room parts, so yeah, maybe it looks like 1 room then. I was about to say, if Average Joe can't build, then maybe he can even open, but...
Yeah, I mean, Average Joe has so many options here, depending on what CS does last year. Is CS able to wood police? And we see CS say think. CS can take the 2 sheep. That's probably what he needs to do. But that lets Kimball have 6 wood, or the room, and then Average Joe to get the other one of those.
Mm-hmm. I guess that means it's more likely he gets Reedstone Food in that line, maybe?
Yeah, CS could
more
likely get that. And it is the 2 sheep. It also powers his Writing Maniac here.
Yep, and what did we say this one was going to be?
Elder.
Yeah. Okay.
And then after that, it's going to be Resource Gatherer and then Crop Rotator.
Well, it looks like Gray's behind in the Village Elder race, seeing as he has 3 passing miners in his hand.
Oh, very true.
But I guess CS has 1, so...
Yep. So this does go build 6 wood. In that order. Graey taking 4 food from the board. Pretty critical for him, so he can keep those sheep breeding in all scenarios.
Mm-hmm. So if we're right about this is Reedstone Food, maybe into
Reno. Yeah. Yep, there's the Reedstone Food. Reno Hearth upgrade is what I'd expect, as long as Graey doesn't take it first. Kimball gonna grow with a greenhouse.
Just in time to get both veggies. That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's a fine play. 1 card short of playing Muddy Waters. Can't play the other stuff, really, so... It's kind of his only minor.
Yeah. Yeah, like how many more of these cards in his hand actually get played this game?
It really depends if he has the time to set up that handmade tenant farmer combo. He is seeing that 4 wood coming into his supply in round 9, so he's a 4 wood action away from fencing 15. Average Joe spent. How did Average Joe sow there? Is he conflating Iron Plow and Steel Plow, perhaps?
Might be. That's a lot of fields.
I don't know if you want to get involved here, because I don't think Average Joe is actually able to sow those.
Okay, let me see if I can pop over and mention that.
Yeah.
No, a Steel Plow is the one that plows 4 fields.
Yeah, but it doesn't come with the sow action.
Oh, right, yeah. I think they're catching it, right? Or
No, I'm not seeing it mentioned.
okay, I'll mention to him here.
I mean, if you're willing to, I'm happy to do it. I just didn't want to interfere needlessly. Yeah. All right.
Send him a message. Hopefully that'll sort that out.
Yeah, so I think that's a miscalculation on Average Joe's part. I would expect he really wanted to get the sow in stage 2, but then took that read action and that we weren't expecting.
Okay, yeah, they've got it sorted. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I guess he was worried about Kimball growing twice before he got to grow.
Possibly, yeah.
So he thought he had to get in line, but...
Well, now Gray's going to build ahead of him, I would expect. With room parts and a house steward in play, I mean, going down on wood is always a risk, but to keep growing in an early growth game.
Now, I saw General Cricks in the chat pointed out they thought Kimball would build 2 stables with that build room action to set up tenant farmer.
That's an interesting call. I like that call, actually. But maybe Kimball's seeing the board and really expecting to get that 4 wood action that possibly happens next round. That's my only real thought to the contrary.
So wow, CS did not, Reno, just opted to build the pottery instead.
Yeah, that's a little interesting. Having a second source of food is definitely good. I don't hate the play at all. I mean, having a Matic means that you have a lot more clay than usual.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I mean, there's no super rush to I mean, Resource Gatherer is still going to be pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does get it down here in the next couple of rounds, you would think.
Kimball putting the Absinthe on Boar, which is a little interesting. CS does take the 4 clay, and Kimball does get that 4 wood, so Kimball will be fencing next round, unless I've completely read the table wrong.
Yeah, I think what Sid is saying is right. It looks like Graey is just like got food covered from multiple angles, which has got to be huge here. It allows him to go back and grow again.
Right, and eventually having that food tempo will let him collect enough wood with his extra actions.
Yeah, I think
So for all the comments we made about Average Joe having potentially the most efficient game here, I think going for that Steel Plow, even if he got a vegetable from it, really hurt his game because it slowed him down on room parts to the point where early growth meant that he's growing like double west, is how I think about it.
Double. Yeah, I mean, he didn't want to see grow in 5 for sure.
Right.
He was furthest away from that.
And now he has 3 read and a first action sow to, I guess, set up Straw Thatched Roof on start player?
Yeah, maybe that's...
Yeah, I agree with Sid here. Like, the miscalculation is that it needed to be plow and sow instead of 2 read and plow.
I mean, if that's the line, he's got to be thinking about Basket Maker if he's going for...
Oh, absolutely. And I think Basket Maker's Workshop does have a really good place in anyone's game here if Straw Thatched Roof gets played.
Yeah.
Graey wanting a Luminous Clamps in chat. Can we get a Luminous Clamps on that 1 boar, 1 food action from Graey?
He did get that and took that. Kimball thought he was going to get that second action. Wow. Oh, there's the early fences we talked about. Kimball goes for them, even though.
Wow, going for them here. I thought he would wait till he has 15 wood.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess
trying to go
the
for
thing Kimball might have noticed is that if Average Joe is starting player, then he needs to get tempo on collecting the animals. A very nice milk can for Graey here. So that boar food ends up being worth boar 3 food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did have to save some wood up to hit Ox Team, so I guess Ox Team's still part of the plan
Yeah, that's
here.
a good point, Sid.
I guess he is. Oh, that's cool. I saw the card going into CS's hand, so that
Yeah,
seems to
so
work.
that part like should be working. It's just Graey who has a misconfigured extension, I think.
Yeah.
All right, and CS gets the riding plow down on Renault, and now has 5 stone, so he'll be able to build another major when it's time to renovate to stone. And he is going to be playing Resource Gatherer off of Writing Maniac by eating the sheep. I would expect actually Stone Oven ahead of Well for CS, just to make sure you can feed and keep Maniac going, but I've very possibly missed something because, oh my gosh, is it hard to keep up with 4 hands here.
He does build the well a lot, but I can see what you're saying in this game because he's got lots of crop stuff coming in later.
Yeah. CS did manually take 1 grain fofo. That is what happened last round. There's that Resource Gatherer, which triggers Educator, but Average Joe, I guess, could play Pilgrim, right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at that one again. It's been a while since I've played that one. Okay, yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure I've ever played Pilgrim personally.
I think I tried to one time. It didn't turn out too well.
So Average Joe's in a very tough spot here because whether he plays Pilgrim or not, he's going to need food for the harvest and also want to build and grow. And that doesn't seem very compatible with whatever he's got here.
Yeah, man, this table's still pretty hungry. Like, the food advantage Graey has is going to be huge here.
Yeah, I mean, Gray's going to, I think, well, if I'm Average Joe, I'm taking 6 wood here and then 3 food and eating a raw grain also and just accepting that my game is like 15 years behind everyone else's. But giving Graey 6 wood, I feel almost ends the game.
Yeah, he'll be in a super strong position. I don't count out CS in these games though. It just sometimes feels like he's behind and he just has a way of putting it together, even against strong players like Graey. So we'll see what he can pull together.
Yeah, I think my argument against that is that Gray's sitting in front of CS, so
yeah.
there is some level of control there.
Right. What does Coal Investor coming in do here for Kimball?
That's a good question. Like, I can't think of anything too specific. Graey is taking the hearth. So there is the cheap fireplace on board, so Kimball will be able to rent a fireplace. That also... So that's a reno for Graey. Barely having the resources for that, now down to 0 resources, but that's a very good move, taking Reno away from the Resource Gatherer.
Did he, and he knew that was in play because he announced at the start of the round, yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then CS Consolation taking Basket Workshop resources.
Wow, and so that was the effect of Average Joe taking the 6 wood instead of building. It didn't force Graey to grow right away, so he could get in the way.
Gray's already grown.
But again, he already grew.
Yeah.
Jeez, wow.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Graey with 6 wood here. It's like completely out of control. Like he's still doing very well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a super low point Zoo Director probably, right? But that's fine because the rest of the game will be good, I guess.
I would think that's the case. I mean, Gray's getting 3 wood, and then what's he going to play here? He has a diamond mine in hand that's not going to do anything. He probably just wants to set up for his heavy plow. I think all he really wants to do is take wood here. I don't
Uh-huh.
really see anything else in his hand. He could play that drawing genius, maybe? Is that... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Pioneer. So, Pioneer would give, like, an extra something in food, which would be cool. But, no. He doesn't need to
Yeah, I
play
don't know where
improvements.
Right. Architect's not making it. Yeah, I mean, he's maybe just kind of just playing the family game from here on out.
Right, taking wood, setting up for heavy
Yeah.
plow.
Yeah.
Very easy game plan for Graey right now. I'm kind of jealous of how easy that plan is.
Yeah, just keep having enough food and just build your farm.
Yep, that
Yeah,
milk can goes around the table. CS needing to lock up renovation with his first action next round. I think Kimball's probably pretty happy to see that, because I think that means Kimball gets 2 boar if he wants it to start next round.
Yeah, so I guess Reno Basket Maker, you think, for CS?
Yeah, it'll be Reno Basket Maker's Workshop. I don't really see anything else, and they'll resource gather 2 wood for a couple rounds. Kimball playing a tenant farmer here, so he is going to... Yeah, he's going to be growing next round ahead of average Joe. Because he'll be able to... Yeah, he's going to skip taking the 2 boar, and he's going to play Handmade with either this action or his first action next round. And Joe is going to not grow until round 11 or later.
Wow. How many rooms does he build when he finally does grow, you think?
I think it's 2. He
Just 2.
knows that a diligent farmer is somewhere around the table. So if I'm paranoid, then I think Graey has diligent farmer and the 4 rooms won't be good enough for house steward. But I think average Joe's game is so behind, you have to take like incredible amounts of risk here. I think building 2 rooms and hoping you get 3 points that way is good enough.
Wow.
So Kimball not playing Handmade yet, but everyone saw it. So
Yeah.
Graey manually
So I guess
taking grain and veg this round instead of taking 2 wood. I think that makes sense, because Graey can probably feel confident about getting 4 wood next round. Remembering Handmade. Because otherwise that tenant farmer is real suspicious.
So if Kimball goes with first action occupation here, does Graey take the 2 boar and just keep the food pressure on the table?
Well, yeah, not only keep the food pressure on the table, but like boost his own feeding situation. Because the sheep breeding is nice, but boar breeding is just better, and then you get to eat the 3 sheep right now for food. So I think 2 boars are really great action. Kimball going with a first action 2 sheep.
Interesting.
Maybe if he needed to eat the 2
Joe...
sheep last round, then that would be sensible.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe he thinks average Joe won't build with first action, but
Yeah,
that would make sense. Cause...
I guess it was just a little too food tight for Kimball there to pull off the Handmade.
Yeah. So we've got looks like 4 rounds of resource gatherers here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
Joe is going to build 2 rooms here. I can't say I understand the placement. I would expect those to be top row.
Let's see. Yeah, what is the...
I don't know if he's planning on just playing punter for 1 field now that riding plow's already hit once. That feels just like wrong positions.
Because otherwise you can do 6 pasture spaces in Max field still. Okay. Yeah, so let's see.
Oh, I guess I can play around with this stuff because it doesn't matter. Like, I would build them here.
Oh, you can. Interesting. But they're not seeing this? You're just doing it?
No, I can't have the power to send average Joe's farm, and then whenever he refreshes it again, it'll...
oh, that's pretty funny. Let's see. So does Handmade... I guess the question now is, does Handmade come down before the second growth of average Joe?
I would expect so, yeah. He did take a second cow here. Set up that ox team. Yeah, because he can play Handmade and grow ox team.
Oh, yeah.
That feels pretty good.
That makes sense, yeah.
So, okay, we do see average Joe has rearranged those rooms. I did not do that myself. There's that Handmade.
Yeah.
All right, so current evaluation here, as CS does get a sow down, getting ready for crop rotator or harvest feast, or both. I think, well, I guess it is both because crop rotator's coming in on writing maniac.
Yeah,
Yeah, because drinker of absinthe is the second food to play the Ock. Graey still seems well in the lead here. Knowing he has a heavy plow, I would expect him to take one cow, fence, and take another cow, something like that, and have a couple procs of heavy plow in the late game. I feel like Gray's definitely in control of this one. I think he could take up that 3-wood spot with one of his actions.
I mean, CS, all he has left really is getting wood and fencing, right? And
Yeah, hold on. This
fleshing out.
No, that's not how consolation price works.
What did he take with it?
He took consolation prize. Of course, is worse than many people read it to be at first, because consolation prize gives nothing there. Because all action spaces of a certain type must be taken before a prize happens.
So we probably need to let them know.
Yeah.
Oh, CS calling it out.
Yeah, this is interesting. We get to play judge here.
There's Night Bazaar, maybe, is the card.
Yeah, Night Bazaar is what Gray's thinking of. Gray gonna change that to heavy plow.
Uh-oh, game on for that one cow.
Yep. No one really wants it, though.
Right.
Fun comments in the game chat. Gray opening with the 6-wood, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. I think if what Sid said is right, that will be a good way for CS to get back.
Yeah, get some control of the game. I mean, I don't really see it, though. CS needs to have some very productive things to do with the start players. I mean, Harvest Feast is good. Plum Patch also very solid. So I suppose there are reasons to take start player. But
Kimball's farm is coming together there. The Ox team hitting for 3
I mean,
fields.
that helps so much. Though I would also do something slightly different with this farm layout. I would definitely put those fields here. It's even less restrictive.
Because I guess you could build a room and still build 2
Right, because
cows
the
there.
issue when you have fields here is that you're never letting yourself build 5 rooms. But that's probably so little of an issue. I shouldn't be complaining.
Yeah. And I wonder if Kimball ever has plans to go back and build 2 more spots of fencing here, or.
I mean, it's on the list of things he can do with his last few actions of the game.
And now it makes taking the 1 animal spots, if there's not much else on the board, like decent for him with having the tenant farmer animals.
Sure, yep. He already bred a cow. I'm sorry, he's going to breed a cow this harvest. Gray also fences 11.
Fencing. Yeah.
And these players are really stressing the importance of getting fences down at the right time, even if it's an imperfect number. And that's something you'll see a lot of good players do, is, not being afraid to fence twice in a game, and if you get stuck with this amount of fences, you're still fine. Especially in an animal holder game. Animal holder does change the math there, and really want you to get breeding stuff going as soon as possible. CS starting with Plum Patch and asking to perhaps change miners. Of course, having a Harvest Feast as an option might be more enticing than making sure he gets at least 2 food from Plum Patch.
Yeah.
Harvest Feast instead. That's very nice for Average Joe. He now has a sow-bake action that would benefit him hugely.
Yeah.
Way better than sowing 1 veg and baking 2 grain. is sowing 2 veg and baking, gosh, what is that, 4 grain?
Yeah, if he wants to, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he's behind. He probably needed that break there. Like he's...
Yeah, I still don't think he has enough here, but...
CS did take start player here. So, is he hoping for Plowsow or Grow, do you think? I guess...
I mean, of course
You
he's
always
happy
hope-
with both. Did I misread Harvest Feast? And is this a CS going for some high ceiling instead of Crop Rotator? Yeah, because Crop Rotator is very loose. It says remove the last thing from a field you may immediately. So I think that's just a misread from CS, because I don't see a reason why he wouldn't resow. Yeah, and because it says may, I don't feel comfortable getting in the way here and letting him know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess it won't really matter if Plowsow is...
Slowing down the rotator
Progress.
slows down the food a bit. I mean, having the extra crops can be useful when you're at no food. CS is planning to win Village Elder here. That's nice.
Yeah, Average Joe's the only one kind of in the runnings here. But what do you think about this 3 food water carrier right here for Kimball? He's been waiting all game.
Yeah, certainly not. Certainly not. We have a Reno, and that milk can keeps coming around. I mean, in a game with low food, this milk can is a blessing for basically all the players here. But I think CS is happy to go back on your previous question. CS is happy with either round 12 action. Plowsow opens up Diligent Farmer to grow, and Family Growth, just take it and ignore Diligent Farmer until it's a 3-point play in round 14.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so let's just make sure I've caught up to date with Gray's hand. He's had Heavy Plow. He also has this Zoo Director he's working towards. So,
He did take the 1 cow, so...
yep, all makes sense, denying a cattle pair. He has the
Did we
most
do that
actions,
family
he has the best food. Yeah, and CS wanted Plowsow so bad, apparently, because he's going to think about taking Family Grow here, where I think it's a snap grow. You don't want to let Kimball have a 5th family member here.
Yeah, wow, that crop rotator really did hurt then.
Yeah.
He really wanted to... Goes back.
Wow, he needs... this is a lot more thinking than I would have expected. The plow pressure is not very high.
What's the other line if you don't grow? 4 wood here, maybe?
That's a good point. 4 wood's definitely good. 5 food traveling's not terrible. It's not a first action, though. Just plowing and just sowing and playing Diligent Farmer could be it. He is getting some wood from Resource Gatherer, but yeah, 4 wood's probably the play if it's not grow. He does go...
Kimball.
Oh, he goes for plow, and
Whoa.
Kimball gets grow. Average Joe's going to
okay.
get 4 wood here that he needs. Joe's catching some
good.
breaks here.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty great for Kimball, too, getting the grow there.
Average Joe does get the 4 wood. Gray's the one... Gray and CS really lose out here to Kimball and Average Joe on this flip.
Yeah.
Gray takes the read. Okay.
That's House Steward points.
Yeah, this looks like a clay room to me.
Now, he's not going to have a lot of fields probably this game, it looks like, unless...
He's going to play Heavy Plow, or he's going to use Heavy Plow next round and the round after. But
Yeah,
I
I
think he
guess
can
if
get
he
to
does
4
that.
fields without too much trouble.
Yeah. I was trying to see if anybody could take the 1 cow.
Okay,
here
so
and kinda-
CS's sequence confuses me a lot. Plow before 3 wood. I guess he needed to make sure Diligent is playable, but gosh, I would have gone for the 4 wood, personally. And CS is probably just going to have round 14, fence 12 if he doesn't get another wood action.
Yeah, there's Average Joe with the other 3 wood, so yeah. I think. I mean, what do you think on this? Like, strong players, wood is always pretty tight.
Yeah.
I think you can get enough of it late sometimes if you're playing maybe weaker players, but it's always pretty contested.
Absolutely. Yeah. The whole game long. All right. CS goes for a sow, and is going to be playing Diligent. Kimball will be plow sowing with the debt collector action. No legal family growth option, of course. He could also perhaps start player with the debt collector action. The round 14 plow sow is seeming likely to be available.
Ooh.
Oh, hold on.
Chickens makes the team.
Hold on. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
That's a free range village elder, is what that is.
Absolutely. I don't know why he's trying to compete with this 4 major CS farm. When CS also revealed Plum Patch. Like, you gotta wonder how much good stuff is left in CS's hand if he's played 4 majors out of his 7 imps.
That's true. Maybe he realized he can't. He's got to take a shot and try to tie, or hope CS will.
Yeah, I suppose it doesn't hurt. That wood isn't doing anything because he has no other wood costs. He probably doesn't want to spend time building stables. He's getting 2 fields when Graey uses heavy plow twice. So all he needs to do is fence 12 small.
Yeah. Looks like I'm not the only fan of free range chickens. I see the player. Oh, there comes the Zoo Director. Okay.
Yeah, Zoo Director getting played here. Graey seeing a very dry board. Build room is pretty free. Average Joe gets to play Animal Dealer off of that. And Kimball starts with Liquid Manure. Wow, that's a good thing I didn't notice, because this is going to be start player and plow sow, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know what else Kimball needs, right?
Right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, he wants to reno eventually, but...
Not a huge amount of pressure there just yet.
Yeah, taking start player when you already have debt collector is so strong. Getting, the 2 first actions of a round. A rare treat.
What did you say that they would be plow sow, and what was the
plow sow start player is what I would do
start
here.
Player. Okay,
the plow sowing with liquid manure down means that you can get to 3 grain points and 4 veg points with just 1 of each. Here.
Yeah.
So it's not start player though, it's 3 wood. I mean, it gets him the ability to build another pasture, a 2x1 pasture, and therefore have better animal capacity to contest animal holder better.
Yeah. I don't know, does start player come back here?
And it might. I didn't look at that very closely. Average Joe is probably busy having grown very late, and Graey is going to go heavy plowing.
I guess CS takes it.
This is one of my biggest pet peeves where people don't arrange their animals correctly. I'll do it for Graey here before his... but this is how he fits everything, but my opinion is that people should show it.
It doesn't bother you that those 4 boards are standing on top of each other?
Oh, it super bothers me. That pasture carries 2 animals, Graey. Come on, man. So there's the Diligent Farmer. And yeah, nobody's taken start player yet. Kimball's now taking his 2nd action and it's still not start player. Average Joe took stone earlier. I guess that's for Reno Stone Oven.
Ooh. Oh, collar and chain. That's what the reason Gray's doing that. Someone pointed out.
Oh, collar and chain also works. But, how hard is it to put 2 boar on the collar and chain? My goodness. Yeah, so Average Joe, I think, announced the field. No, he didn't. You're right, Mike. The punter is missed on that heavy plow. CS starts with Reed Exchange over Plum Patch, giving him more immediate food. I think Average Joe will realize that he still is owed 2 fields and is going to wonder where they went.
Uh-huh. I'm watching your stream on the other browser, and it looks like it got blurry, but it might be just on my card. I'm not sure if.
Okay, I don't. I think my performance window indicates that I'm not dropping any frames. I'm still at 60 FPS, and I'm.
It's probably my end then.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what's left for Kimball here to close out? Is he angling for animal holder maybe?
Yeah, he's definitely angling for animal holder. He took sheep this round. I assume he's not going to return tenant farmer unless he can. Graey is going to build a room. He's going to plow 2 more fields. CS didn't get fences here, so probably has to fence first action because Average Joe can. If Average Joe doesn't renovate, it's less likely he needs to. Yeah, CS just has to fence.
Seems like it. Which I guess Kimball gets the plow, so. Or could take 2 boar if he really wanted to.
Part of me thinks Kimball might just take 1 boar here.
To not leave 2 for someone else. Yeah, that.
There's the plum patch coming in on Family Grow for CS.
The village elder fight staying even. Average Joe's keeping up with him.
Yep. Fofo saying Kimball possibly winning, maybe CS. Sid saying Graey might not have enough points.
Yeah.
This is definitely an interesting endgame. We'll see how much residual farming Graey can pull off here. Graey is getting close to animal capacity. I think he has space for 1.
It's super interesting to me to see how everyone was food tight, and we thought Graey was just running away with it because he had food most sorted. But these are strong players, and they've all sort of pieced it together. Still managed to build a solid farm and get points, which is pretty awesome. And even play free range chickens along the way.
Yeah. Eco Sean, good point. Welcome to the stream. Not sure I've seen you around before, but yeah, that's a good point that the stable's coming in after that 2 wood grab. With the room build. That's a very good point.
That's going to be solid for Graey.
There is a proc of Animal Dealer right there. Or Average Joe, who missed that punter field still.
Which one?
And okay. So there's just 1 of each animal left on the board. So let's break down this animal holder really quickly. Kimball is fed and gets to breed everything, so he'll have 3 plus 4 plus 4 is 11 animals. The possibility to breed to 14 if he doesn't eat any. And Graey has 10, might need to eat some, and can breed to 13. So yeah, Kimball looks like he's in the lead for animal holder. He's getting this plow because CS is forced to fence. This is starting to look more and more like Kimball's game here.
He's got Reno on check whenever he needs that, it looks like.
Yeah, Joe needs to reno fence here because of Kimball's ability to reno. What's Kimball's minor going to be? Probably just Muddy Waters. Oh, boar breeding.
Ooh. Yeah, he needs to sort food out with a couple actions, probably. I guess he can eat, how many veg? He can eat some veg. Yeah, I guess he doesn't have to eat any of these animals.
Yeah. Sid pointing out Gray's animals haven't bred yet. Okay. Yeah, I think Gray's send farm patterns are. I would request something different if I was playing this game. Let me just leave it at that.
Yeah, and I think it's fine. I usually ask people because I can't keep up with. I'll just tell everyone to send it before I start taking moves in round 14 because I screw it up enough when I see what they have. Much less when I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, Graey does get to 4 cows for this heavy plow. That's a nice action.
Yeah, so Kimball's going to have crop points on him, card points on him, maybe animal holder and animal points, like, I guess just house-wise. And Gray's never getting to stone here, right?
Correct. CS has a max pottery. He has max crops. CS is probably getting growth without room here because Graey has an empty room, and does he have miners to play? He can't play Diamond Mine. Reed Exchange is played. So Graey actually might be blocking growth without room here.
Yeah, right. Like Graey will do the math and figure out if who's his biggest opponent is and if he needs to block if he doesn't have a point miner to play. So he'll he does that a lot if it comes down to the figuring it out. So I mean, CS still has like two-point animal grabs here.
Yeah, if he can get them, because Average Joe has that animal dealer, which might help him feed. Though he does have, Joe has some extra veggies.
You know, he's got to keep one food to throw out to the chickens as well. Don't forget.
Oh yeah, the point is possibly coming in on those chickens. No, actually, that the chickens has ticked down to 1, so maybe those food have been eaten.
Oh, huh.
Yeah, because you can eat those at any time.
Okay, let's see if Graey goes for the block here on the family grow.
Joe does get the animal dealer on sheep. Points over food at this point, which seems correct.
Yeah. Wow, could Kimball steal this thing from coming in the back door, making the playoffs?
Yeah, coming in 8th place, making it in the game when Donba isn't able to play, and then has a chance to win this game. Very exciting stuff. I wouldn't count out CS yet. He is winning Village Elder as far as I can tell.
Does he still show those victory points that he added?
Oh no, he took those off long ago, which, you know, Animal Holder was not his points to win. Graey is taking House Steward points away from both Average Joe and CS here. CS is not going to be able to hit that.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, I never count CS out in these games. He has a way of just closing it. Especially, I think, against players where he can predict sort of what they're doing more. He can navigate his game around.
Yeah, so CS really has to analyze if Graey doesn't have anything better to do, and decides Graey doesn't have anything better to do than possibly block the grow. So CS takes that over a boar.
And is boar will?
I don't think so. I think Joe would be happy enough taking a 5-food action, but can't be too sure.
It's funny, the animal dealer never came into play for this animal holder. I guess Joe was just so far behind on trying to grow he couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his grow really got far behind. So let this be yet another installment of the cautionary tale. Don't mess around with room parts too much too early, because this is what can happen. And you are in a catch-22 at that point where Average Joe had 13 wood and decided to take 6 so that Graey wouldn't get the 6 when Graey was already in a good position. He took one for the team, but that made him grow even later by, I think, 2 rounds. Maybe it ended up being 1 round later, but it was still a big hit.
And if Graey doesn't win, that might be, you know...
Yeah, so chat is mentioning that we could tell Average Joe about the punter that hasn't been triggered by Heavy Plow, but I think our stance has been to enforce the strict rules and not the use of the words can or may. So
right, I think that one's a may, right? So
it says can. Right.
Yeah, can, right. So, I mean, yeah.
And to me, I think noticing Heavy Plow is it within the realm of skill instead of etiquette.
Yeah.
Yeah, CS also missed rotating fields, exactly.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I agree that the no announcement thing is not great, but nobody's been complaining about Gray's less announcing than the other players, which I was saying is something that I might do, but it's not what the other players have requested, so...
Yeah, no, they are all 4 over in voice chat, so there might be some things that they're saying in there.
Oh, okay, so that's not something we have access to for sure.
Right. Yeah, they may have said it, and we just he didn't type it in chat, but
yeah. So CS's game finishes here. I'm gonna pull up the scorecards as players finish. CS is showing 51, which is quite solid. He ate no points on the Basket Maker's Workshop or Pottery. He'll get 3 Village Elder points for 54, no House Steward, no Animal Holder. So CS is going to end with 54. Very solid game.
Solid game. Is it enough, though, you think?
Yeah, we'll see.
Gosh, yeah. Just piecing that together. The strength of Riding Maniac, I guess, and just playing a solid game. Riding Plow, Riding Maniac.
Mm-hmm. Kimball playing Muddy Waters with an action here. Graey has now finished up. Gray's at 38 before breeding. If he breeds everything, he'll have 40. 41 on collar and chain. Let me just give him ceiling on Zoo Director as 5 for 46, 49 Animal Holder, 52 House Steward. So Graey will not be winning this game as far as I can tell.
52, you said, is about where he would max if you count.
Yeah, he's between 50 and 52, I think. Average Joe is showing 39, and I don't think there's any amount of bonuses that can save him there.
What's the 3? He's picking up 3 somewhere.
It's Elder.
Ah, yeah.
And Kimball is default 47, with a 48th on Muddy Waters. Animal Holder, I think, is his 51. He is returning 2 animals, so Tenant Farmer brings him down to 50. And that might not be enough here. There might be one other thing I'm missing, but I think this might be CS's win.
CS could pull this out, wow.
With a no animal game, which is so unlike him.
In a game where we thought animals were everything, yeah.
Yeah. 43 for Average Joe, so definitely not enough there. Graey had to eat a lot more than I realized. He ends with 48.
Okay, wow. Yeah, I think Kimball's going to be a couple down from him. I figure.
Yeah, we'll wait for the announcement. And there might be surprises we don't know about, but...
Wow, what a crazy game. CS does this, though. A lot of times you'll just think he's out, looking behind, and he just, piece by piece, he just gets points and cards and solid fields.
Yep.
Usually you don't see him fence this small like this, or at least I feel like when I've played him, but 51 for Kimball. Wow.
51 for Kimball. Congratulations to CS here. Very solid game. I don't know if I ever thought he had the strongest position, but he just kept doing good things. His taking of 4 majors and getting huge points off the majors really helped. Yeah.
In a game with Veggie Vendor, he took 4 majors. That's...
Yeah, and I think that's just because Educator didn't ever, turn the corner. He was always eating those Veggie Vendor vegetables to survive.
Yeah, I don't know how hard it would be to get them in here, but if you want to, we could see if they could come over, if we can get CS or something. I don't know if...
we could try to talk with everyone. Yeah. Let's see, what room do you want to do that on? Do you want to do that on the season server?
Yeah, we could do that. We just hang up this one and jump in there, is that how?
Yeah, and we don't even have to hang up, we can just jump in. Let me just... Yeah, so that'd be fun to do endgame interviews, but
yeah, we'll see if they... I wonder if CS thought he was winning the whole time, or he thought he was behind, because we sort of never thought he was the favorite here.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, like we mentioned, we didn't count him out, I guess, but...
it's just that without any animal tempo, those major points were, I guess, we didn't account for them well enough.
Probably a good read to pivot from that, because they were going to be so contested that he just went a different direction. Like he zigged when they zagged, and that worked out for him.
All right, I think we have the okay to jump in, so yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Hey guys, you're on stream.
Hey.
So congratulations to CS, nice win.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess the thing me and Derek were both a little surprised, honestly, that you ended up winning this by a couple points or even more, because there wasn't ever a time in the game where we had estimated your position to be the best. Did you feel like you were winning at any specific point?
I felt like I was winning out of the draft, to be honest. My hand's really, really good. So knowing about all the global bonuses was bad. Well, knowing about them wasn't bad, but I knew I wasn't hitting Animal Holder, and House Steward was only if someone didn't go 5 rooms, and typically when someone plays House Steward, they go 5 rooms.
Right.
But I knew I was going to get an easy 4th room late. But when Grow flipped, I was like, okay, if I can sort out feeding, my game's going to be really good because, I mean, as you can see, max crops, max fields, 4-room stonehouse, max peeps, and a lot of major points. That's usually for a good game.
Right. What I found fascinating about this is that you didn't build a 4th room until the Diligent room came in, but it was still an early growth game, and then you weren't taking wood and fencing with while exiting the growth queue, and I just thought that was all just so, or at least not your preference.
Yeah, I rarely play a game where when I grow first, I don't take just all the good actions. That doesn't happen very often. When I grow, I believe in just taking the big stacks, and that will be the way you just punish the table for growing first. But this was a game where I had a very strict timeline. There's a lot of food pressure in the mid game, so I had a lot of things to do, and I just didn't have the time to take wood. And I relied on the resource gatherer taking me through.
Yeah. So I guess if you're all okay with it, I'll ask everyone a bit about their draft and how they felt they executed their game plan. So moving around the table, we have Kimball here. So that's a nice second place for you, I think.
Yeah, I definitely was happy with how this ended up given the mid game. I really got food pressured quite a bit, and I feel like there were some unfortunate turns that I didn't expect that just really set me back so far. And then CS gifted me the
grow in
milk,
12. And the milk can.
The milk can, yeah. The milk can really kind of got me back on track because I knew I had a good late game. Like, I had Ox Team and, like, an easy way to get the 2 cows. Tenant Farmer, just take a cow. Like, I knew I had good synergy with my stuff, but that was just so squeezed in the food there.
Right.
And as far as, like, from what I envisioned from the draft,
I mean, let's talk about this very spicy second pick Tenant Farmer.
Yeah.
So, like, we knew that you had to have seen something in your first pack to make it happen.
We were trying to guess what you were trying to win.
It was handmade.
Yeah, but I mean...
Speaking of, I
see.
forgot that I passed Tenant Farmer. When he played the card, I was like, wait, what? I was like, when did this guy take this?
First pick Tenant Farmer.
I was like,
so-
wow.
We couldn't see the other cards in your first pack. We could only see what you took. But when
Oh,
we
right.
saw Tenant Farmer, we were like, I wonder if he's trying to wheel something from the first pack, and what would it be? But we couldn't figure it out. And then your fifth pick.
It obviously was handmade. If I recall, like, I don't think there was anything super amazing in that pack, in that second pack. Andrew, your opening pack?
You're right. Because when I opened it, I was like, oh, this is Ready Maniac and garbage.
Yeah, exactly. So
I made a comment like, oh, when we're allowed to draft a card, I'm going to snap a card and pass them along.
yeah, so the pack also wasn't that amazing. So I was kind of looking for something to work, and I felt like Tenant Farmer hoping to wheel handmade or Tenant Farmer blocking handmade, like, was both good reasons to take it. Like, Tenant Farmer, I may be higher on that card than a lot of people, but, like, sometimes it's an emergency food out that you really want. Yeah, I don't know, but it was a little spicy, I'd say, but also the pack was weak.
It justified it. Like, I think it was a justified spicy pick.
Yeah.
If I had to say something. So then, Average Joe, you're next. You had an educator draft. You drafted a lot of food support, but then got stuck behind in the growth queue.
Yep, and then forgot what my cards did, and then forgot when people could grow and what they had to do, and took read for no reason. And
Yeah, I mean, these things
Figured
just
it out.
happen sometimes when you have a lot of cards to play, right? You never wanted to see growth in 5.
that's true. But yeah, it was fun to play with these guys.
Yeah, tough game for you, but I'm sure it was fun to have half of a recovery when that Harvest Feast came in.
Yeah, that
'Cause
was great.
If I'm not mistaken, you were planning on sowing 1 veg and baking 2 grain or something, and instead you got to double that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I was going to try to build an oven or just eat raw veggies again, or eat animals or something. But
Okay.
yeah, it made it so the next harvest was easy too. So the rest of the game was basically easy.
Gotcha. Yep. And then we have Graey, of course. Starting in the 4 seat, never easy, though maybe the major improvement flipping in round 1 made your...
No, major flipping was terrible for me. It was
Okay.
horrendous. I didn't want Fireplace. With this game, I really wasn't that interested in eating animals. like I think with Zoo Director, you just want to take animals and breed them and find some other way to feed most
And
of the time.
you had a workaholic in your hand also that you never got
Yeah,
out.
going forth was actually a train wreck for me because I really wanted to just go animal holder, start Player Chronicle, but because Major flipped, I couldn't even play Chronicle ever. Because I couldn't play it before the first fireplace is built.
Right.
And so like everything went horrendously for me in stage 1.
Yeah, I mean, you took a
I
long
just
time to
wanted
take
to-
the 2 clay when I would have probably snapped it, but I think you're in the long run correct about Zoo Director and Animal Holder. You don't want to eat them.
Yeah, and then there was just a lot of problems. Like if Educator wasn't in the game, I probably don't even take 2 clay first action, but I just knew it was going to be so hungry that I kind of needed it.
Right.
And it just was all bad from the very beginning.
Yeah. There was a point in the mid game where you got to grow, you had good feeding, you had good wood situation. Whoops, that's my desktop. Let's not show that for too long. Maybe we can go over to.
Well, yeah, we thought you were kind of winning there just because you had food the most sorted in the mid game, and you got to go back and grow again so soon. But I guess you should have the ceiling or something.
Yeah, I mean the main problem was just I didn't have anything to do with my actions. Like I grew early, but it doesn't mean a lot when you just have to take like bad feeding actions. And like there was no good way to spend my actions on points. Like I just didn't have the hand to be doing good stuff. Like I just needed defense and get animals, but there was such pressure on animals that I went like 1 cow, 1 sheep.
Yeah.
So like,
that was wild.
I really didn't. Well, actually, apparently I could have. One thing I thought about was trying to get the 2 cows in 13, which would have made my game slightly better. But it's just such a disaster if I don't get the 2 cows.
And and there was so much pressure on the animals for both feeding and for animal holder and for this reason and that reason.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the reasons which Sandswall brought up in Twitch chat here that is probably the last thing we'll comment on in terms of the game is the plow support that you all picked so early. First pick miners were Ox Team, Steel Plow, Riding Plow for 3 of you.
And Heavy Plow, right?
I even have the.
Heavy Plow was the other one, so they were all Plow.
Yeah.
I even have second pick Sunrise in hand.
Yeah.
I already had plows, but I was just like, oh, this is going to be so much better.
So,
like anything.
Right, but as casters, we found it very interesting that none of you knew about each other's first pick plows, but you all had one. So that was very interesting on like how much plow pressure that you all might have thought there might be compared to what actuality was.
I guess getting Reedstone food, 3 wood, Reedstone food. I said earlier I thought there was no point where we thought CS was winning, but at that point, you had to be feeling pretty good then.
And the opening felt good. In round 5, it felt good. I was actually thinking while we were talking, and the one time that I felt pretty bad was when Graey got to grow 2nd and 4th. And I was like, oh no. Because at the time, I knew I didn't have the actions to take wood. And I was like, oh, he's going to abuse me, and I'm just going to get so screwed here. But it turned out that I was able to get enough wood from Resource Gather, and that made it okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if Robbie had the food to build and grow and give me this 6 wood, I would have had a much better chance, just because it would have made my tempo way better for animals.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's fair.
All right, so we have one question from Twitch chat, and maybe we can take one more after this, but not too long here. So, Graey, you picked Heavy Plow over Punter, and Sid wants to know why. My guess would be because you had Animal Holder Zoo Director, you didn't want to incentivize people to take tattle too much?
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea there were other plows in the game, and Punter doesn't do a whole lot. Like, yeah, I mean, passing it, hoping to get triggers off of Heavy Plow is a disaster when I always want to get breeding cows as early as possible. I knew there was a handmaid out there. And I don't like taking Punter there at all.
I also think like you can consider the table when you take punter. It's like this is a table where if you play punter, is someone really going to give you those plows? Like
I don't
maybe
think that's a
one?
consideration.
Okay.
No.
Oh, I think it's a consideration, to be honest. Like, if I'm, like, against better opponents, they're not just going to give you all the free fields in the world. But against weaker opponents, they'll see the punter and be like, oh, yeah, whatever. You can have his
Well,
field.
yeah, I mean,
I'm
they
just
might
maximizing
choose
my
to not
score.
play the plow if it's very marginal, but I mean, most of the time that's not going to come up, I don't think.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the difference in play styles and thought processes among you guys, because you're all like pretty close in terms of skill, I would say. So, yeah, we all get our points in different ways. Is I guess my concluding comment there. So, I guess Derek, do you have anything to ask here at the end?
No, just congrats, CS, and we'll plan out and hopefully be able to cast the finals the same way. I think the new view of the game worked for the most part pretty well. It was a little bit of exciting to see all the different cards pop up as people drafted them, so that was fun.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. There's a lot to talk about, though. My voice is hurting a little. So thanks all for playing in a very exciting game. Nice job, everyone.
So I have a wrap-up question for Derek. If CS decides to back out of the finals, do I get to backdoor into that one too?
Yeah, I guess technically you were second, so yeah. We'll see if he decides to.
Let's go.
I mean, it's going to be a pain for me to schedule, but we can talk about that later, Derek.
Okay.
Yeah. So for Derek, BlackJackDavie, and myself, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this was an enjoyable new format to watch some Agricola. We both had a lot of fun, and we hope to bring you the season's finals in sometime in the next 1 or 2 weeks, and there will be some announcements for that. All right, so thanks everyone, and good night.
Thanks, everyone.
But
Nah.